Hey folks, Trophy Land Hunting Channel here. I want to talk to you a little bit about bullets. Specifically, 22 caliber bullets in the 223 Remington cartridge. Now, I got a hog hunt here in about a month, and it makes you think about what you're going to take and what kind of ammo you're going to bring, what kind of rifles you're going to bring, so on and so forth. And because it is what it is, and I'm taking the kids too, I'm going to bring an AR. Now, one of the things I see people do on these hog hunts, we're going to Oklahoma, you go to Texas, go all over the country, is, you see ARs on a lot of these hunts. But the one thing I see people do is make the mistake of putting the wrong bullet with that cartridge. And that can go for hunting hogs or deer. So if you want to have the right the right bullet in this cartridge, you got a few choices. Now, my standard go-to 223 round, normally, you can see that, it's pretty dirty. It's because that's been shot suppressed a lot. But that is a 50 grain VMAX. Hornady load, that I have 10s, 20s, 30s all loaded up. I like to keep 10s loaded up just for hunting. This is a load I'll throw in all the time. Great all-around varmint load. Coyotes, coons, whatever you want to shoot. Predators, things like that. Prairie dogs. That's there. That guy, of course, there. This 30 right here has got Remington 55 grain AccuTips, I believe, loaded into it. Same thing. Coyotes, prairie dogs, etc. Varmints. Here we have a mag that's loaded up with several different types of ammo. There's the AccuTip. There's another round in there. There's another. This is kind of a jack of all trades mag. But what I really want to get into today is some hunting bullets. There's lots of loads out there you can get. One of my most favorite loads that I see is available right now today at Graff & Sons in Mexico, Missouri, is a 60 grain nozzle partition. Now, I have killed a boatload of deer with a 60 grain partition and a 220 Swift. Wouldn't feel uncomfortable doing the same thing with a 223 or a 22-250. Great bullet. The partition's been around forever. It's bonded core. Great bullet. Now, moving beyond the old partition, you have a few options. First, I'm going to start with the bad, in my opinion. Fort Scott Munitions, company out of Fort Scott, Kansas. They make a solid copper bullet. Now, the problem with this is that in most states, using full metal jacket or solid ammunition is illegal for shooting most animals. Now, if you go to Texas and shoot hogs, this is perfectly legal. But if you come to Missouri to shoot a pig or a coyote or anything like that, this is illegal and will get you fined. There's a problem there. I've also had a lot of reliability issues with this Fort Scott ammo. They like to advertise things like tumbles on impact, great penetration, so on and so forth. Has not been my issue. I had a 357 load get stuck in a barrel, squibs, not just once, but 3 times, same box. Had the 4570 ammo get stuck in the barrel, squibs on those as well. And I'm just not a big fan of it. I have this one mag loaded up with it because I had a box of it ages ago and I just kept it loaded in there, just in case, I suppose. Why get rid of it? Now, Winchester, for a while, if you can still find them, made a bullet that was a hollow point copper called the Razorback XT. Now, that's a good bullet. Models itself after a Barnes in a lot of ways. It's hard to see, but there are flat parts on each petal of that bullet right there in that hollow point. I have used these on hogs and on deer, and they work well. It's not a bad load at all. This is a 55 grain bullet, I believe, if I remember right. Again, hard to find. Work well if you can find them. I've got a few boxes left. The other load that I think this is basically a twin to is SIG makes a 60 grain, what they call HT or hunting tip. It's essentially the same bullet. It's a copper Barnes-esque type bullet. Expands well, solid copper, no lead, works good. Good, reliable expansion in most mediums. That's a good SIG round. Also, I mentioned the Barnes. I don't have any Barnes with me today. I mean, I might have some packed away, but Barnes makes the TSX and the TTSX, so the tipped and non-tipped X bullets. 55, 60, 62, maybe 64 grain as well. That's a great bullet. That's a great hunting load. A lot of people love Barnes bullets. I'm not I don't love them. I don't hate them. I've used them and they work great. I just have not used them a ton. But you can get that Barnes load. That's a great load. You can find those right now at Graf's and at Rogers and all kinds of places. But on to my most favorite 223 Remington hunting bullet. By far and away, my most favorite load to hunt anything with a 223 bigger than a varmint is this guy right here. And this is the 64 grain Spear Gold Dot. Now, if you're very familiar with spears and gold dots, you will realize very quickly, you'll find out very quickly, they are the law enforcement supreme, meaning that LE agencies have been using gold dots for years, in rifles especially, in the 223, the 62, the 64, the 75 grain. Gold dots are great at barrier penetration. Car doors, glass. Glass is one of the big ones. And I have found in all of the deer I've shot, whether we cull does, whether it's bucks, no matter what, that the 64, and I've used the 75 grain as well, and the 62, you're really splitting hairs there. You can also get the 55. These gold dots are deer hammers. I've never recovered one. Shot out to about 225 yards on deer. Never recovered one. Broken bones and shoulders with them. Absolutely flat perform. So as we get into the spring, where people are going to do more hog hunts, things like that, coming to next fall, if you're using your AR, the big thing to remember is use the right bullet. It's not as important to pick the right cartridge as it is to pick the right bullet. Picking the right bullet will get you what you need in these smaller rounds, okay? So if you're using a 30-06 and you're hunting white-tailed deer, you really don't have to go pick a premium bullet. You can use the old standard Remington core locks. You can use your Winchester PowerPoints. You can use just about anything, and you're going to be good as long as you stay away from match ammo. You know, it's not like white-tailed deer are terribly tough, but when you cartridge down into the 223, 22 250, 220 Swift, you've got to pick the right bullet. For me, that's the Spear Gold Dot. I like the Winchester Razorback XTs. And of course, for varmints, I like my polymer tipped VMAXs, AccuTips, so on and so forth. So remember, when you're hunting, big animals, pigs, deer, good tough bullets. Heavy if you can. These gold dots, you can get a 75 grainer at about 2,500 feet a second. 62 and 64 around 3,000. 55 is 3,200. I don't worry about velocity loss very much. If I zero myself 1.5 inches or so, 2 inches high at 100 with this VMAX, then I'm pretty much dead money 1/2 inch high with a 64 or 70 grain or 75 grain gold dot. And I'm really limiting my shots to 200 yards and under most of the time anyways on these bigger animals. So remember, caliber down, bullet up. Tip of the day. Thanks, everybody. Please subscribe and like this. And if you have any questions or comments, please ask. I'm always here to answer questions. I try to get back to people very quickly and, try to get more content up for you all. Thanks. Have a great week.